What's going on, everybody? C4 here. Welcome back to the channel. And we're going to do our Eagles grades, reaction, all that stuff for their, I assume, loss against the Baltimore Ravens. I'm doing a little bit differently today. I am going to be talking to you right now as at halftime, and then I'll finish it up at the end of the game with final grades, just to give you my thoughts. Very boring, I think, is what we could say above all. It's very, like, I'm trying to be cozy here because I got the 20K chain on. And even that, the ice, it can't, give me that little bit of like, brr, it's freezing. I need to perk up. I need to stay awake. It's just not working, man. The Eagles offense is like NyQuil. It's like it's so terrible, man. It's so boring to watch. It's an offense that has absolutely no direction. It's an offense that is plagued by injury, but it's still an offense that even when they have ample blocking, even when they get these players that aren't maybe the best to perform at a acceptable NFL level, it's our good guys that are like just failing to perform. So my takeaways right now for the first half have been, the biggest one might be, is it impossible for the Philadelphia Eagles to play complementary football? Complementary football meaning your offense and defense kind of play off each other. And literally, I cannot recall, like, there might be a game here or there over the last couple of years that both units decide to show up, but I can't consistently recall a 2 to 3 game stretch at the most where both the offense and defense has showed up. Because defensively, the Philadelphia Eagles this week have done a pretty damn good job. Lamar Jackson has not looked really that good. He had his touchdown against Nick Boyle where he looked like MVP Lamar, and you're going to get that. Because Lamar Jackson is generally a very, very electrifying quarterback. I'm not going to say a sensational quarterback, but I am a Lamar Jackson fan. I am a little bit of a Lamar Jackson homer, and I'll be the first one to admit he has not looked really good today. He's had a lot of weird side throws, and it just looks like the timing has been off. And the only time they've really had a big play is if he's utilizing a tight end, a slot-type player. So Philly's done a great job. No Hollywood Brown. And the run defense has been stout more often than not. But then, of course, and this is like the same defense last week, that could not stop the Pittsburgh Steelers to save their lives. So then you look at last week, all the offense. It was all about Travis Fulgham. Carson Wentz looked generally probably his strongest game of the season. And then we're here this week where the defense is doing their job and the offense is not. And, like, it's one of those things where, like, if you peel back all the layers, you can probably figure out why that is. I feel like teams that can't play complementary football, there is a common trend. It probably has something to do with the reflection of the coaching staff, but it's the biggest thing for me right now is, like, Baltimore is 17 points. That's a legit 17. They earned that 17. But, like, Philadelphia, the defense has forced, three or four 3-and-outs? Like, the defense has done their job. And it's on the offense. On the opening, was it the opening drive? Yeah. Deep ball down deep to John Hightower. And then he's like, oh, Nelson Aguilar, just going to drop it. That wouldn't be a touchdown. I saw some people on Twitter saying that Hightower pass would have been a touchdown. I mean, maybe. It looks like it just would have been a huge gainer. It probably ended up as a field goal or something like that. But as someone that's not trying to hate John Hightower, not trying to put that blasphemy on him that he's an ex Nelson Aguilar, and now you're looking at Aguilar down in Las Vegas, actually playing very, very well. But I'm pro Quez Watkins. I like Quez Watkins' college shape a little bit more, and I'll just have the argument that I think if Quez Watkins, who's actually faster than John Hightower, was in that same situation, he would have caught the ball. But that's neither here nor there, because the biggest miss was Carson Wentz on the running back wheel. It looks like Miles Sanders got a little switched up what side the ball was coming, but Miles Sanders had a play in the back of the end zone for a touchdown, and he dropped it. So there's two massive drops. Carson Wentz has had, there's a fumble that wasn't great. Like, Carson Wentz is not playing well, but, the whole put in Jalen Hurts, all that stuff. We should have at least a for sure touchdown under Carson Wentz. He's done enough to keep this offense in it himself. It's just everything else is not working, man. The drops are inexcusable. Zach Ertz continues to look absolutely washed. The game plan's a little bit weird. Like, when you're struggling offensive line to get pass protection and you're going up against a very, very good front seven like the Baltimore Ravens have, why are you having Carson Wentz just 5-set drops, sitting back there waiting for guys that we already know struggle to get separation to get open, and then you're just asking and inviting that pressure into the face of Carson Wentz where only bad things can happen? Where's the RPOs? Where's the quick passes? Where's the no huddle? It's not there. Yet again, this is an offense that Carson Wentz has had his receivers and skill position players fail him, and the play calling is not in any way, shape, or form trying to maximize the strength of his offense. I know it sounds like I'm a Carson Wentz, what do they call them? The truthers of Carson Wentz, people that always defend Carson Wentz. But there's a point in time, I'm absolutely not satisfied whatsoever about the quarterback play from our $100 million quarterback here in Philadelphia, and he absolutely has to play better. If you get that price point, if you come to a point in time in your NFL career as a quarterback that you get paid $100 million, there needs to be a certain level of, I'm going to elevate everyone else around me to play better. And maybe we've seen a little bit of that with Carson Wentz, with Travis Fulgham. Maybe we've seen a little bit of that maybe with Greg Ward to a certain degree, who had an exceptional catch in this first half against Marlon Humphrey. But, you know, I feel like to be a Carson Wentz, you know, truther, if you will, like to be always pro Carson Wentz and never holding him accountable, you would just say the offensive line sucks. I think absolutely $100 million quarterback, gotta make some more of these plays, but the plays have been there today against Baltimore, and it's everyone else that has been failing him. Everyone else has been letting him down, and then all that compounded. You can only imagine why Carson Wentz is trying to do it all. It's really one of those things where you think of Jameis Winston with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? Jameis Winston's biggest thing was he always tried to play hero ball, and that's why he had so many turnovers. You can't compare that with Carson Wentz. They both are playing hero ball, but Jameis Winston was playing hero ball when his weapons were Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, O.J. Howard. Carson Wentz is trying to play hero ball because he has to play hero ball because his weapons are still relatively unknown. Travis Fulgham, converted quarterback Greg Ward, and the ever-emerging, washed Zach Ertz. So I get why you see Carson Wentz on with the fumbles and all this stuff. I get why Carson Wentz is trying to play hero ball because there's no one else that's going to make a play right now on this offense. And usually, you like to hope that you can rely on Miles Sanders, who dropped a touchdown pass. Usually, you hope you can rely on Zach Ertz, who wants to become like the third highest paid tight end in the NFL and get an extension and get a raise. It's just not happening. It is just not happening. So we still got the second half left to play. We'll finish up with grades. But right now, for Philadelphia, game ball's going to the defense. Defense has been good. I think from what I can take away, the D-line's been solid. The pressure's been there. Josh Sweat is emerging, man. Josh Sweat, it's going to be great. Because Philadelphia was getting ready to get put in a position where you'd probably have to give Derek Barnett, who is a solid defensive end, probably pay him above market to make sure we can retain him and keep him on that defensive line. I think the emergence of Josh Sweat has given us a little bit of flexibility there that unless Derek Barnett wants to take the pay raise, the pay, tier of a rotational edge rusher, boom, you're gone, man. Hit the open market. You are absolutely gone. You're no longer required on this defensive line because Josh Sweat looks good. Alex Singleton, the CFL MVP, he kind of got his soul taken from him a little bit on that first touchdown pass from Lamar Jackson. But I mean, what else can he do? Singleton was in coverage. So Lamar Jackson was scrambling, and then Singleton had to make that sink or swim. I'm either going to blitz Lamar Jackson or I'm going to leave Boyle, the tight end, wide open. He committed. That was way more of an exceptional Lamar Jackson play than it was a knock on Singleton. And other than that, Singleton was making a lot of tackles. He's looked very good in the run game. Same can't be said for what we've seen through Nate Gary for the first quarter of this NFL season. So if there's silver linings, it's still like, all right, Darius Slay's still really damn good. Singleton looks to be an improvement over Nate Gary. The D-line has been pretty solid today. Josh Sweat is continuing just to put up and pile up great reps, rep after rep after rep. Fulham still looks pretty good on offense. Greg Ward with a great catch. But it's still really icky to talk about the positives right now of this Eagles team because everything is generally so negative. So let's get out here for the second half. We'll be back with some grades. Hopefully the ice keeps me awake for the second half. Oh, before we even get to the second half, got to remember, Jalen Hurts. Wow, Jalen Hurts. I hate it. I hate everything about Jalen Hurts playing on this offense. And it's not no fault of Jalen Hurts. Yeah, he had like a 20-yard rush. That's kind of like the occasional splash trick play that you need for an offense. I just generally, and then you had the trick play from Hurts to Wentz, back to Hurts for a gain of 2. I am just always, it's just me, it's preference. I'm personally anti-trick play, which is almost sacrilegious because the most famous play in Eagles history now is obviously the Philly special, but I always just feel like trick plays are for bad teams. Trick plays are for teams that can't execute, and every time Jalen Hurts comes out on the field, it's just a stark reminder that this Eagles team is not good enough to execute a normal offense, and that's sad. It's real, but it's also sad. All right, so the second half, they actually made a game of, not gonna lie, gave up a little bit of hope. I lost hope. And then I saw that they were within one score. And then I saw Fulham get a touchdown. And then I saw Wentz carry the team and get a touchdown. And then I saw like the worst 2-point play I've ever seen as Wentz stumbled with Boston Scott and effectively under the game. So as we get ready for some grades here, I suppose it comes down to, is there such a thing as a good loss? And I don't really think there is, but if there was, the last 2 losses were Philadelphia, Pittsburgh. Very much a legit team in the AFC. You're looking at who the strongest teams are in the AFC. And while Pittsburgh did look a little vulnerable against Philadelphia, especially in the secondary last week, is there a better team in the AFC outside of Pittsburgh right now? I mean, record-wise, they're unblemished. I still would probably argue I'd put the Chiefs ahead of them. That's probably it, though, right? Like, I think most people are saying, yeah, give me Pittsburgh over Buffalo. So Philly was, like, right there with the Pittsburgh Steelers. You saw this week against Baltimore. Baltimore is definitely in that conversation for top 3 teams in the AFC, and then they almost hung in there. I mean, this was a bad game for Baltimore. The refs were, there was a PI on that last drive. That was terrible. Should not have been called. But generally, there was a lot of deserved and rightly called penalties against the Baltimore Ravens. They were very sloppy. Lamar Jackson, really, if he wasn't using his legs, looked pretty damn bad. Looked pretty bang on average. Full kudos to the Eagles' defensive line. But it's still a loss, man. Philly is 1-4-1. They deserve to be 1-4-1. But I think before we really get into the grades and stuff like that, I think I can firmly say I truly believe that Philly is still good enough to win the division. Now, we'll finish this video with a hot topic, I guess, within the Eagles community, because I was kind of talking about it on Twitter, does it really matter if Philly finds a way to the NFC East? Would you rather just suck and get a higher draft pick, or, find a way to make the playoffs and not picking as one of the first early exiters of the playoffs? So we'll get to that. That's what we'll wrap it up with. Let's look at the grades here. So Carson Wentz, 21 of 40, 213 yards, 2 touchdowns, also had 49 yards on the ground and another touch. Wentz was, I'll tell you right now, 100%. Carson Wentz was a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson today. That was inexcusable. That was, irrefutable. That's the right word we're looking for. Lamar was not particularly, he had one big wow play in the first half. And then obviously the touchdown run was amazing. Like, he was so freaking fast. There's no catching him. But that was just the Eagles linebackers being absolutely awful. Carson Wentz played better than Lamar Jackson today. I don't think there's any, it's not a hot take either way, because it was obvious if you watched the game. So I'm going to give Carson Wentz an A. He did everything as expected, and that was good. Miles Sanders had 118 yards, fumbled what should have been a touchdown. Luckily, it was recovered for the first career touchdown of J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, which was hilarious, because of course that would be the first touchdown that he gets. That would be the way that he gets his first touchdown. But Miles Sanders, I'll give him a B. That fumble is kind of inexcusable, because if that went the other way, it'd just be another one of classic Philadelphia Eagles in 2020. But I guess you could still argue that 9 rushing attempts for Miles Sanders isn't enough. He needs to be getting fed more. I get the offensive line is really banged up. We have 1 starter on the offensive line left in Jason Kelce. Maybe 2 if you consider Jordan Mailata, who I think is still doing very well. I think even when Jason Peters comes back, Jordan Mailata is still going to be the starting left tackle for the Philadelphia Eagles. So I kind of get why the game script might dictate, we just can't get push at the line of scrimmage. We're not going to be able to run the ball, but it's still kind of a hard sell when, you think at least the most talented skill position player is only getting 9 rushing attempts in a game that you were close in, that you were trying to win. But either way, we'll give it a B there. It was really nice seeing Carson Wentz scramble a little bit, had a couple good rushes, had a rush with a fumble that was bad in the first half that we already talked about. Jalen Hurts had 23 yards, and I do think you could kind of give credit to him for that long touchdown it wasn't a long, whatever we're going to call whatever the Miles Sanders run, because they brought out the eye candy, the window dressing in Jalen Hurts. You could definitely see on that play, the Ravens were focusing on him. And then, boom, down goes Miles Sanders. There's an amazing block from Jason Kelce on that play. But, as much as I think it's corny, as much as I don't like the trick plays of Jalen Hurts, it worked today, I guess. Fulham continues to be a beast. Travis Fulham, 6 catches, 75 yards, and a touchdown. John Hightower had a 50-yard bomb, had a really bad drop in the first half. Hey, at least he got some confidence with that second big pass. I want to say it was a touchdown, but fortunately it wasn't. Zach Ertz, 4 catches, 33 yards. Old Dick Rod, Richard Rodgers, 3 for 31. Jason Kroom, Buffalo Bill legend, caught a touchdown late. The receivers were fine. They weren't really getting separation. It's tough. The Ravens are really, really good defense. But I know it's still Travis Fulham season. We legitimately, when Deshaun Jackson, when Alshon Jeffrey is healthy, I still absolutely 100% would have Travis Fulham as wide receiver 1 on the depth chart. Absolutely. It's irrefutable. He deserves it. He's the same type of receiver as Alshon Jeffrey, and if Alshon comes back, he's going to have to earn and find a way to take that starting jump back from Travis Fulgham. I'm going to give the receivers today C+. There was, ultimately the two biggest misplays for the Philadelphia Eagles were on the receivers. John Hightower in the first half, dropping that touchdown, it wasn't a touchdown, I had to look back at it, but a lot of people are telling me it was a touchdown. I'm kind of on the fence that it wasn't. But John Hightower dropping what could potentially have been a touchdown, and then Miles Sanders dropping what should have absolutely been a touchdown. Looking back at the final score, those are absolutely game-changing plays for the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'll give him a C+. Special teams, man, Jake Elliott. I was kind of surprised Philadelphia brought in a kicker to work out, a CFL kicker. Jake Elliott actually kind of hasn't been making, clutch kicks. Another miss last week. I don't know what's going on with the kicker there, so I'm going to kind of just, D, special teams hasn't been good enough. You look at the defense was exceptional today, honestly. Outside of really that break, the lapse in judgment, I don't know if it was Rodney McLeod, I don't know if it was Nate Gary on the long Lamar Jackson touchdown run. They did a great job. They honestly did a great job. Brandon Graham was exceptional. He had 2 sacks on the day. Malik Jackson had a sack. I thought Alex Singleton was pretty solid in run defense, all things considered. The secondary held Hollywood Brown in check. Darius Slay played well. D-line was dominant. Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, Josh Sweat. I'm giving the defense an A. The defense did everything they possibly could today to keep this offense in it, and it's still the bipolar, man. I think still, even though Philadelphia was able to find a way to crawl back into this thing, it's still the offense was so bad in the first half. That hole to get dug out in the second half to make this game competitive, it shouldn't be that hard, right? You just got to find a way to play complementary football. Luckily, we have the Giants up next. I say luckily, yeah. Would it shock me one bit if Philly finds a way to lose that game? Absolutely not. But at least we could say the last 2 weeks, Carson Wentz has looked like good Carson Wentz. For the most part, Pittsburgh and Baltimore. And push comes to shove, when it comes to the NFC East, I will take a good Carson Wentz over anything that's going on in Dallas, over anything that's going on in New York, over anything that's going on for football team. So, I don't know. I truly want to feel like it's a good loss. We saw a lot more positive and negative. I have hope at the end of this that we still can find a way to be the best team in the NFC least. And that just circles around to the thing that I want to talk about is, do you want, as a fan, Philadelphia just to admit we suck and find a way to get a top 10 pick, or at least as close to a top 10 pick as we can, so we can get another Derek Barnett type draft pick? Or do you want Philly to find a way to win the division, make it to the playoffs, and most likely, and probably deservedly, probably be one and done, right? Because they're not that good, right? The Philly Eagles are kind of shit this year. And my logic of thinking is this. Absolutely always want this team to win. I want them to go to the playoffs, because you know what happens to make the playoffs? It means Dallas doesn't make the playoffs, and that's a huge plus for me. But the bigger thing is that I do not trust Howie Roseman. I do not trust his front office if the pick is at 8, 9, 10, and we don't make the playoffs, or the pick is 18, 19, 20 if we do make the playoffs and we're one and done. Either way, they're probably going to make a brutal selection of the pick either way, so I don't care. I'm never going to be probably satisfied. I can't, the last time I was happy with the Eagles' first round pick is when they got Fletcher Cox out of Mississippi State, and that was a very long time ago. So for me, my opinion, the direction I'm coming from, I want them to win. I want them to make the playoffs, because if it comes to a draft pick, they're going to find a way to bumble it anyways. So let me know how you guys feel about this game here against the Ravens. 30-28, the Eagles fall to 1-4-1. But we got the Thursday nighter against the primetime football against the Giants. If the Cowboys lose against Arizona tomorrow night, that'd be first place in the division, I believe. So it's up for grabs. It is up for grabs. First place in the division Thursday night. Eagles, Giants, should be fun. I'll see you guys back here after that game, and hopefully we're in a little bit better mood. But thank you guys for watching, and until next time, it's C4 saying peace out.